Do you really think we know everything about the stars that appear on our television screens? Hollywood has made billions off of showing us life's dirty details, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes that they'd rather we not know about. Like, did you know that Vin Diesel and The Rock hate each other? Or that frozen vegetables are used to make realistic movie sound effects? From forcing actors to go method to using CGI to create a character's entire wardrobe, here are some of Hollywood's biggest production secrets.
Hello. We gotta go on a mission right now. I'm a man of my word.
Vegetable sound effects. Next time you hear a bone break in a blockbuster movie, you might be comforted to know that that crunch is actually just a piece of frozen celery being snapped in half. That's right, vegetables are some of the soundtrack stars that the world's biggest movies use. Foley artists are responsible for some of the most realistic sounds we hear in media, like on the Titanic when Rose is floating on the door in the ice-cold water. When help comes and she sits up, her hair crackles. The crackling sound was actually achieved by peeling leaves off of a frozen head of lettuce. But vegetables aren't the only food group getting a chance to be movie stars. When dinosaur eggs hatch in Jurassic Park, it was really just a sound artist breaking up an ice cream cone. Of course, the artists need to do a lot of editing and sound mixing to get everything to sound like it's supposed to on screen, but it's good to know that what it takes to score a movie is a strategic trip to the grocery store. Famous feuds. Not all celebrities get along, but sometimes things are so bad that entire movies have to be rewritten and castmates have to be separated. That's what happened to Vin Diesel and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson after they starred in Fast 5 together. Johnson has blamed their inability to get along on a fundamental difference in philosophies on how we approach movie making and collaborating. If you saw The Fate of the Furious and suspected that he and Diesel did not film scenes together, you'd be completely right. Tensions were so bad they wouldn't even be on set together. And then to keep Johnson from having to appear in more Fast films, he got his own spin-off movie, Hobbs and Shaw. But it's not just macho guys who have feuds on set. During the filming of The Notebook, love interests Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling reportedly hated each other and fought all the time. It didn't ruin their on-screen chemistry, but it sure made filmmaking hard for the cast and crew. Thankfully, the two made amends and actually dated for a while. Let's hope that The Rock and Vin Diesel can patch things up half as well.
Come on, boss, another day.
Forced method acting. Method actors are often praised for how serious they take their roles. But what happens when an actor is forced to go method? It turns out that sometimes it's the directors who take things way too far. While filming the drama Blue Valentine, director Derek Cianfrance made Ryan Gosling and Michelle Williams live together with their on-screen daughter. He watched as they struggled with the stress of living in a small house on a $200 bi-weekly grocery budget. Cianfrance even instigated fights between the duo to get the passion and tension just right on screen. One night, he even told Gosling to go to Williams' bedroom and try to make love with her. After a fight, Gosling was evicted to the couch. Joker director Todd Phillips is also guilty of pushing his star a little too hard. Joaquin Phoenix was told to keep a journal as Arthur Fleck to get into character. Phoenix didn't mind too much, but he ended up writing some pretty messed up stuff inside the book. The Dark Knight's Heath Ledger did a similar thing for a role as the Joker. He locked himself in a hotel room for a month and kept a Joker journal.
No, you complete me.
Infrasound in horror. A lot of the tension in horror movies comes from the creepy sounds directors use to keep us all on edge. But what if we told you that the scariest sounds of all are the ones that you can't even hear? Infrasound is a low-frequency sound that can't be heard but deeply unsettles humans. It exists at 19 hertz and below, while we're usually only able to hear about 20 hertz and up. The infrasound can be felt even if we don't register it. Infrasound actually exists in nature and is created by earthquakes, avalanches, and wind. 2002's Paranormal Activity was one horror film that used infrasound to unsettle audiences. The deep rumblings were only sometimes audible, but they were always distressing. They were used when the camera would pan towards empty halls and doorways so that we would feel dread even when there wasn't anything on screen. The 2002 film Irreversible also used infrasound to scare audiences, particularly in the first 30 minutes, so that we were all terrified before the movie even really began. Huge age gaps. Age gaps are not much of a Hollywood secret, but you might be shocked to know how big some of the age gaps between an actor and the character they're playing can actually be. We're talking bigger age gaps than the one between Leonardo DiCaprio and his girlfriends. Haha, sick burn! Young adult television tends to be the biggest offender when it comes to hiring much older actors to portray high school students, like Riverdale's Cole Sprouse, who is 26, while his character Jughead is about 16. Another 10-year gap comes courtesy of Game of Thrones' Daenerys. The character was supposed to be 15, while actress Emilia Clarke was actually 25. But movies are brave enough to go for much larger age gaps. Sense and Sensibility's Eleanor Dashwood was supposed to be 19, but Emma Thompson was 35 when she portrayed the character. And what about Harry Potter's Moaning Myrtle? She was between the ages of 11 and 16, but actor Shirley Henderson was 37 when she appeared in Chamber of Secrets. Do you think these stars look much older than their characters? Let us know in the comments. CGI secrets. What happens when it becomes easier to CGI characters than use actual actors? Would we even be able to tell the difference? You might think that CGI is easy to spot, but you'd be surprised by how much of it actually goes into creating blockbuster films like The Avengers. For example, Iron Man and Spider-Man suits are almost completely CGI. The actors are actually wearing motion capture suits when they film their scenes. And for Captain America Civil War, Black Panther's suit was entirely computer generated. Films even go so far as to add and remove facial hair from actors' faces during post-production, like they did with Henry Cavill when he played Superman. They actually digitally removed his mustache during reshoots so that he could keep it while he was filming Mission Impossible. And did you know that towards the end of Thor Ragnarok, Chris Hemsworth Thor isn't actually Chris Hemsworth at all? Because of all the lightning, it was just easier to completely CGI the actor, even for those close-up shots. Talk about uncanny. Forced weight loss. A lot of actors lose or gain weight to look more like their character, but sometimes the studio doesn't even give them a choice. One of the actors most known for his extreme weight loss is Christian Bale. He lost 60 pounds for his role in The Machinist, and while he doesn't seem to mind so much, he's admitted that it takes a huge toll on his body. Other stars like Mila Kunis and Natalie Portman, who each lost 20 pounds for Black Swan, have to agree. Some of the biggest weight loss challenges exist for actors who have problems with eating disorders. Lily Collins admitted it was hard to lose weight to play a woman suffering from anorexia for her film To the Bone, because she had problems with the disease in the past. Some stars absolutely regret their decisions to follow studio incentive to lose weight. Anne Hathaway lost 25 pounds quickly and then shaved her head for Les Miserables. She won an Oscar for the role, but admitted she regretted the extreme weight loss and didn't like seeing herself on screen. Fake names.
Say my name.
Sometimes stars change their names so that they're more unique, less associated with their family, or just because they want them to be more catchy, but some of these name changes might surprise you. Did you know that Brad Pitt's first name is actually William? He goes by his middle name professionally, but he's admitted to using William when he's flirting with women. Another A-list star that changed her name is Natalie Portman. The actress is from Israel and her birth name is Natalie Hirschlag. After coming to the US, her entire family changed their surname to Portman, which is the actress's grandmother's maiden name. And then Natalie became a more common Natalie. Joaquin Phoenix's family did a similar thing. The Joker star's full name was Joaquin Raphael Bottom, but when his parents left their religious group, they changed their surname to Phoenix, a kind of rebirth. How poetic. And then there's Whoopi Goldberg. Her name change comes from a surprising source. The actress's real name is Karen Johnson, but Whoopi revealed that her new name was courtesy of people comparing her to a whoopee cushion. Nosy, but never offensive. Forgotten lines. You would think that actors need to remember all their lines perfectly, but some of the biggest stars have terrible memories. They rely on things like cue cards and teleprompters to get by on set. Marlon Brando actually used cue cards for many of his roles, including The Godfather. His reasoning was that audiences don't know what I'm about to say, so why should I? He would put cue cards on tables, other actors' bodies, and walls. He'd sometimes even use an earpiece. Al Pacino is also very bad at memorizing lines. In China Doll on Broadway, he read his line off of 2 teleprompters embedded behind columns and a third one behind a couch. He even used a huge Bluetooth earpiece as a backup. But memory isn't always the issue. Sometimes it's a production problem. When Days of Thunder was constantly being rewritten during production, Tom Cruise would tape pages of the new script to the car's dashboard. But trying to drive and read is not a good idea. The actor eventually got into a crash because of his line-reading trick. Mirror scenes. Have you ever wondered how directors are able to film direct mirror scenes without any of the crew set or cameras being visible? Besides angling, some directors have come up with some ingenious yet time-consuming tricks to get those mirror shots just right. In a cutscene from Terminator 2, James Cameron actually constructed 2 identical sets so that he could install a window and make it look like a mirror. When Sarah and John are removing the T-800's chip, they had to do it directly in front of a mirror. So Cameron had to stage the scene twice at the same time. The back of Arnold Schwarzenegger's head is actually a dummy prop, and he's sitting across from Linda Hamilton on the other side of the window. As for Sarah Connor's reflection, the actress's twin sister was hired to mirror her images. This setup seems pretty complicated, but there are worse ways to achieve a mirror scene. Director John Cocteau actually used toxic mercury as a mirror for his film Orpheus, so that it would look like the actress was reaching through glass. Thankfully, today's CGI makes reaching through a mirror a lot easier and safer.